So how does JavaScript actually run? So most people think it runs line to line from top to bottom, but that's not always true. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how JavaScript runs so you can understand how it plugs in to all your code. So I'm going to explain this by treating the browser like a busy restaurant kitchen. So the first thing when the browser downloads your code is that it doesn't run it immediately. It initially does a complete flyover scan and it looks through your file to find every variable and function that you wrote. It's kind of memorizing them, and we call this hoisting. Think of it like someone reading a recipe before you start cooking. So it's like you need sugar and flour, and you set out empty bowls for them on the counter, but you haven't put the ingredients in yet, but the space is reserved, right? This is why you can use a function at the top of your file, even if you write the code for it at the bottom. The chef already knows they exist because he read the recipe first. Next is this traffic jam. So while the chef is prepping, the browser is actually still building the website using HTML, which is your body, right? So in the old days, if the builder saw a script tag, he would stop working entirely to wait for the chef. The page would then freeze. But to fix this, we use a keyword called defer. Defer is just a specialized instruction that tells the browser, don't stop building the walls, download the JavaScript in the background, and don't let the chef start cooking until the restaurant's fully built. Next, we have the call stack. This is where the execution actually is. So the code is actually now running. This happens in a place called call stack. Now you'll hear people say JavaScript is single-threaded. That's a fancy engineer word for it only has one burner. So you can only do one thing at a time. So if you're chopping onions, you can't answer the phone. So if you're doing a math function, you can't update the screen. If a task takes too long, the whole browser freezes because the chef is stuck on that one burner. This is where delegation comes in. So if the chef only has one burner, how do we wait for a 5-second timer without freezing the whole app? The chef cheats, right? So then he hands those tasks to the web APIs. These aren't a part of the JavaScript language itself, but they're kind of tools provided by the browser, like a kitchen timer of a microwave. And the chef's like, hey, API, let me know where this data is fetched. And he immediately goes back to his one burner to keep working. Next, we have the waiting room. So when the API finishes a task, like the timer going off, it doesn't interrupt the chef. It sends a callback and notification to the waiting line. But the thing is that there's actually two lines. First is the macro task queue. This is a regular line. Things like set timeout goes here. And then next is the micro task queue. This is the VIP line. This is where promises go. So a promise is just a code that's saying, I promise to give you a value soon, because the browser thinks the data is important, so promises get a VIP pass. Next is the event loop. So this is the manager. The manager has one simple job. He looks at the chef and asks, are you busy? If the chef is cooking, the manager blocks the door. No new tasks are allowed at that point. But the second chef is also free. The manager checks the VIP line for the micro task first. He lets all the VIPs in. Only when the VIPs are gone and done does he let the regular timer macro task in. This loop checks the chef, checks the lines, and happens thousands of times a second. This is the event loop. So next is going to be batching. So think of it as paint. So finally your screen updates. If your code changes a color 100 times a second, the browser is smart and knows painting pixels takes a lot of battery power. So it uses batching. It waits for the chef to take a breath, looks at the final result, all of your calculations, and paints a screen just once. So this is just a fancy way of saying how JavaScript actually runs. So yes, there's one burner and you have multiple lines, right? But it's making sure that the most pressing things are running first, but also simultaneously running things in the background as well to meet the intent, which is displaying everything on your browser. Now, all of these things happen so fast, so by the time you even click refresh or go into a browser, it's automatically going to be there. It's not taking a lot of time. But at the end of the day, JavaScript is smart and it's returning the result that you want based upon how the code is written. With that said, hopefully this video helps you out. Let me know your thoughts down below, and thanks for watching, y'all.